Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyita Basu. Viewers, something very interesting happened overnight. Today is Tuesday afternoon, and as we Indians woke up, we found a very interesting message from Donald Trump saying that there is a ceasefire declared there's going to be a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, by which Iran has a particular time in the morning to adhere to that, and Israel has got another 12 hours extra, by which time they will have to go for a ceasefire, and apparently both sides agreed to it. Well, initially there was some back and forth between Iranians and the Americans, and the Iranians were saying like, no, we are not going for a ceasefire. But then finally they kind of have issued a ceasefire, and the Israelis are also coming up with a statement saying that all their goals have been all their goals have been achieved, because of which they are also going to have a ceasefire after 12 hours later. But at the time of recording, missile firing is going on. Iran is still firing missiles at Israel, and Israel has also said that they will keep pounding Iran. So effectively, even though on paper the ceasefire thing has come into place, but effectively it has not really started. But there is a possibility that the actual ceasefire will happen. So the whole question is, what exactly happened? On Sunday early morning, Donald Trump bombed Iran's nuclear sites, and it was not just Fordo that he bombed, from the Natanz also, and that it seems like from whatever the Israelis have been saying, it is like the main job was done by Israel in terms of taking out a major part of Iran's nuclear infrastructure, and the US kind of US action was the cherry on top in terms of reaching to that deepest nuclear bunker that Iran had in Fordo. Now the whole point is that there is also some speculation about in terms of what happened to the nuclear enrichment, the enriched uranium. It seems that 400 kilo of uranium enriched that Iran has, it has been able to move it to somewhere. It is not yet known. So the Israelis, they say we have some intelligence about it. But in the meanwhile, so what is this thing behind this ceasefire? And this also has to be seen in the context of on Monday night, what Iran did. Iran fired a few missiles at a US base in Qatar, and Qatar was also very upset about it. But then there are reports in the US media reports saying that those missile firings were actually a fixed match, primarily because the missiles were being fired at bases in Qatar, which where there were no American personnel, but Iran, the Iranian regime in particular, they wanted some kind of a face saver, and they wanted to get out of this whole mess that they have created for themselves by saying that, see, we have successfully attacked the great Satan, as they talk about America. So there is huge speculation, as I said, media reports as well, that say that this whole thing was a fixed match. So if you are going to be worried about if the war is expanding to a wider region or not, it is not. Okay, because you see, Iran had also talked about blocking the Strait of Hormuz and thus stop, I think, a major part of oil that comes through that area, and particularly China's oil. So in fact, I am wondering whether there is a Chinese hand in the so-called ceasefire as well, although it is said that it was actually Qatar. But I'm guessing that there could be Chinese hand in at least restraining Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz, because major part of China's oil in particular comes through Strait of Hormuz. Now the question is that when we are talking about a so-called ceasefire that is going to be implemented, Israel says our goals have been fulfilled. There is a statement that has come out from the Israel government, saying that we are going to stop attacking Iran because our goals have been fulfilled. So what were Israel's goals? I have mentioned this earlier also. Israel's goals were primarily, you see, first before that let us understand one thing. When it comes to Iran and Israel, Israel considers Iran to be an existential threat, primarily because Iran actually talks about taking out the whole of Israel, eradicating the whole Jewish population, and these clerics of Iran can be quite mad. They can actually want to do it, and actually they can do it because they have all sorts of notions in terms of going back to the glory days of a Persian empire, and they will be ruling from in fact Spain to India. That is the kind of notion they have. Israel is a tiny blip in that, so as far as Iran is concerned. So because of which, to tackle Israel, to make Israel's life miserable, what Iran has been doing throughout is that, number one, they have been using terrorist proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, whole lot of them are Iran has been using. But even Bashar Assad was a front of Iran. But Israel has been literally decapitating these terrorist organizations. And they have kind of created, post the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas on Israel civilians, what they have done is that they have literally decapitated these terrorist organizations, and as a result of which, the Houthis are also there, by the way, in Yemen. So as a result of which, what has happened is that Iran has been defanged to a large extent, not fully, to a large extent by Israel when it comes to the terror arm. Now Iran has two more arms in terms of the ballistic missiles and the nuclear program, and they were going in for a nuclear bomb. Okay, there is reason to believe they had achieved 60% they had achieved 60% enrichment. They had achieved their uranium. I mean, although weapons grade is 90%, they were working very fast on it, and as I already said, there were over 400 kilogram of enriched uranium with Iran. Now, so Israel's second goal is the taking out the nuclear facilities and the infrastructure, and third is the take out the ballistic missiles, because you see what happened. When it comes to real threat of war, the weapons may have come later, nuclear weapons, but much before that come the ballistic missiles, okay, which are able to carry huge payloads and can cause immense damage to both defense and military and security infrastructure in Israel, and that is what has been happening. So when it comes to nuclear infrastructure, it is largely decimated. I mean, even if whatever remains, Iran is in no position to, even it comes to enriched uranium and all that, it's going to take them decades to get back to where they are. So to a large extent, that threat has been neutralized. Now at the same time, those 400 plus kilograms of enriched uranium, now that is a threat in terms of, but they cannot be used as nuclear weapons. They can be, used with conventional weapons and conventional bombs and made into dirty bombs, which can cause some. They are not nuclear bombs, but they are called radiologically dispersed bombs, these are. So the thing is that threat is there. But Israel says it is trying to find out where that in fact, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, has also said that we have got intelligence about where those nuclear enriched uranium is stored. So possibly Israel will be going after that. And the third goal is, of course, ballistic missiles, which pose an immediate threat. Now Israel is said to have a inventory of around 2,000 to 3,000 ballistic missiles, and the Israelis say that they were planning to manufacture 200, 300 ballistic missiles per month. they were in a position. So Israel has been going after these ballistic missiles and ballistic missile launchers and ballistic missile, actual ballistic missile storage facilities, and they say that they have been able to, I would say, destroy around 50% of the launchers till now. And when it comes to the storage part of it, you see, what has happened is that Iran was, in the initial days of this so-called 12-day war, which actually could be extending to more. So Iran was initially, when they were firing about 200, 250 ballistic missiles at each, every wave. Alright, now apparently that has come down to about 10, 12 ballistic missiles, which is easier for Israel also to intercept, Israel's air defense. It's not that easy to intercept 200 missiles, but and 7, 8, 9 missiles always kind of go through the air defense and hit civilian buildings. That is what has been happening in Israel. It hit a hospital. Today morning they hit a civilian apartment in Beersheba. So you see, that threat has been reduced to a very large extent, ballistic missile threat. But you see, given the nature of the Middle East, given the nature of the quote unquote war, and particularly given the nature of the hatred that the Islamic regime in Iran, the kind of nature of hatred that they have for the Jews, the Jewish people, it's very difficult to say, that they are going to give up their plan to obliterate Israel from the face of the earth. So that is going to continue. So Israel's goals, when it comes to Israel's goals, I would say they have achieved it partially. Perhaps they would have preferred to continue with the bombing of Iranian military infrastructure for some more time. But it looks like Donald Trump was in a rush to declare victory and peace. Well, as we know, Nobel Peace Prize is a serious policy motivator for Donald Trump. So that is how it is increasingly looking like, that he has nothing to show. In the last 6 months he has been in power, he has nothing to show. So that is why he has been going around trying to steal credit from everyone, including from Israel. The actual hard work was done by Israel in kind of defanging Iran, but Trump has been trying to take credit for that. Now, what happens after that? It seems like Trump was in a great rush. It seems like that he has been talking to them, and at least by agreeing to it, Iran is also saying we will go for a ceasefire. So by agreeing to the quote-unquote ceasefire, it seems like both Netanyahu and Iran's clerical regime, they have kind of in public, they have handed Trump a victory. And what is going to happen now is that Trump is going to go around saying and kind of boasting and crowing that, see, I have got peace, so I deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. So this is how it happens right now. This is how the things are right now. Whether this ceasefire holds or not, we don't know, because even before the ceasefire actually comes into effect, or rather even if it apparently has come into effect, Iran is still tossing missiles at Israel. Israel is also pounding Iran. So let us see. In a couple of days, I guess we will get to know what exactly the situation is. Thank you for watching. Until the next time.